mean, you're going to tell me things like profitability and a Model 3 execution, but this was well known. Why do you feel like the street's getting a little bit more negative now for Tesla?
I think the fair value, by the way, is 176, but yes, it's been getting close to overvalued territory lately for us. The tricky thing about Tesla, yes, it's widely followed, but all the value is really still way off into the future. So it's very hard to sometimes ascertain in the near term what that stock's going to do, because it's really just a giant call option on Elon Musk.
Well, true, but isn't it also hard to properly value it? You can make comparisons to GM and Ford and how it shouldn't be worth as much as those two companies. You could also make an argument that Tesla is a tech company. Tesla is a giant battery company. How do you value it?
Yeah, that's a very frustrating question to answer, because you're right, it's immensely difficult to model out, because, again, so much of that value is going to be way down the road, even beyond, say, a 10-year explicit forecast period that we do in a DCF model. So you really have to, it's a tricky balancing act, I think, really, between how much benefit of the doubt do you give them about the potential versus how realistic do you want to be. And also, you got to factor in risks, and that's one reason I got a bit more pessimistic late last year, is I raised my WACC to account for more debt coming on from Solar City.
So one question I have for you, David, is who's buying this stock?
Well, there seems to be a mix, I think, between retail large institutions like a T. Rowe Price, Bally Gifford, but also I think the short activity can get very erratic with this name too. Obviously, that there's two sides on a short movement, of course, but it can cause a lot of volatility. It's definitely not a name that I think people want to necessarily buy and hold. You're basically, I think you have to really put up with the volatility and just say, I believe in Elon Musk, or say, I don't believe in Elon Musk, or I don't believe in electric cars, and therefore you put your money elsewhere. It just depends on the individual investor.
Well, that's what I was going to. As an institution, you have certain obligations to the people you're managing your money for. Is this a long-term hold, or is this more speculative?
It probably depends on the time horizon of that fund, of that institution. If you're more bullish on the long term, it's a very nice name to just let it, in theory, gradually compound over time. There's the question, though, of things like more competition coming from the Germans in particular. And also, we haven't seen Tesla go through a recession yet. So it's going to be interesting to see how their sales do, how their cash flow does. Remember, too, over time, they're going to need to build a lot more factories. Those do cost money.
David, let me ask a different question, which is, what is this company really? As I understand it, they don't actually own a lot of the IP. They license an awful lot of it. So what is the exit strategy? If you were to sell this company, who would buy it?
That's a fun question to think about, because, as you know, there's been a lot of speculation on Apple getting into the electric car space. I don't cover Apple, so this is just my personal opinion, but I think if you're Apple, rather than build it from scratch, buying something like Tesla would make a lot of sense, because Tesla's already so far ahead of you if you're Apple. But the problem is, if you buy it, what happens with Elon Musk? Because I think a lot of the value of Tesla is still, I'm not just talking about Elon's shareholding, I'm talking about just the value of the intrinsic value of the company. It's based on Elon's vision, his execution, his severe dedication to being on the factory floor all the time. If he's not in control of the company, would he still even want to be that involved? Or would he prefer to go to one of his other passions, such as rockets?